Today, we are going to talk about a book called Kora, written by Tenzin Sundu. This talk is going to be a kind of review of this book. I'm going to talk about the subjects and vision this book carries. Before I start, I would like to read one of my favorite poems from this book called My Tibetaness. 39 years in exile, yet no nation support us. Not a single bloody nation. We are refugee here, people of a lost country, citizen to no nation. Tibetans the wall sympathy stock, serene monks and bubbly traditionalists, 1 lakh and several thousands odd, nicely mixed deep. In various assimilating culture hegemonies, every checkpost and office. I am an Indian Tibetan. My registration certificate I renew every year with a salam, a foreigner born in India. I'm more of an Indian, except for my chinky Tibetan face. Nepali, Thai, Japanese, Chinese, Naga, Manipuri, but never the question Tibetan. I am Tibetan, but I am not from Tibet. Never been there, yet I dream of dying there. I came to know about Tibet because of Tenzin Sundu. It's not like I never heard of Tibet before, but hearing and knowing the name are two different things. I was always fascinated by Tibetan culture. I listen to Tibetan songs and enjoy watching Tibetan dance and movies. Sometimes, when my curiosity overwhelms me, I delve into YouTube's videos to learn more about Tibet. I don't have a perfect reason for loving Tibetan culture, which is what it is. After all, we have no control what we feel. I met Tsundue at the Arunachal Literature Festival 2022 at Namsai. I came to know about his journey of activism, his struggle to free Tibet, and his works in the field of literature. The saga of his journey is a tale that imbues courage, sensibility, and humanity not only to Tibetan people but to every individual out there who had time to record a childbirth when everyone was tired and hungry. This line of the essays, My Kind of Exile, shook me and reminded me of that particular day when I asked my mother about her birthday. She simply replied, I don't know. After that day, I never asked about her birthday again. I don't have any memory of celebrating my mother's birthday. I remember one day my father brought her birth certificate, but I knew that the date of birth that was mentioned on that piece of paper was not authentic. I wish I could figure out when my mother came into this wonderful world. I wish my tete grandfather were here. My Kind of Exile is not just about remembering someone's date of birth. This essay tells the story of Tibetan people who have suffered the pain of separation from their family into two lands. It's about those unfortunate people who have nowhere to call home. I read most of his crucial works such as Crossing Borders, published in 1999, Kora 2002, Samshuk 2007, Sengol 2012, and Nowhere to Call Home 2023. Among them, one of my favorite is Kora, which I completed a few days back. This book is a collection of 14 poems and 6 essays. In the poem Loser Greetings, there is a ray of hope. This Loser, when you attend your morning mass, say an extra prayer, that the next Loser we can celebrate back in Lhasa. When you attend your convent classes, learn an extra lesson that you can teach children back in Tibet. This line breaks my heart. Sundu imparts and motivates the people of Tibet that there is no darkness in the world that you can't overcome. In this fight, we all are together. He is telling her sister, though in a Boro garden, you grow well, my sister. Sundu, in his poem A Personal Reconnaissance from Ladakh, describes his feeling when he saw his country for the first time. He equates it to the experience of a poor hungry man drooling out of his restaurant window at the food which he can never have. Sundu, through the might of his pen, shone a light on the issue of Tibet, that the silent walls could not do anything about it. Sundu writes that here in India and across the world, the Tibetans are people of lost country and citizen to no nation. I'm Tibetan, but I'm not from Tibet. Never been there, yet I'm dream of dying there. In the poem Refugee, he mentioned the term Rang Zend, which means freedom. Sundu talks about the heart-wrenching stories of a Tibetan refugee man and the struggle for freedom. Pull your ceiling halfway down and you can create a mezzanine for me. Your walls open into cupboard. Is there an empty shelf for me? Let me grow in your garden with your roses and prickly pears. I sleep under your bed and watch TV in the mirror. Do you have an ear on your balcony? I'm singing from your window. Open your door. Let me in. I'm resting at your doorstep. Call me when you are awake. The poem The Tibetan in Mumbai, it elucidates on the condition of Tibetan people living in India. The poem dwells on untold and unending tussle and with racism's livelihood to find a safe place to be called one's own. Tibetan people living in India work as mountain road construction laborers in Masumari, Birkulu, and Manali. The whole high stretch of metal road running hundreds of kilometers from Manali to Ladakh was built by the Tibetans. Tsundue has mentioned in his book that hundreds of Tibetan workers died because they could not bear the heat of summer and the monsoons caught them in poor health. Now Tibetans live in the cities and hold on to jobs like working in restaurants, manufacturing noodles, and now youngsters in IIT jobs. During winters, about 200 Tibetans come down to the city to sell sweaters, and after 2 months stay like a migratory birds, they return to refugee camps to celebrate Losar. One can see and feel a deep longing for freedom in his writings. The poem When It Rains in Dharamsala is about the days he spent in Dharamsala. Even in the hardships, he finds beauty and joy in the little things. The poem Pedro Fluid ironically tells the story of a boy who lost his mother and of a young girl pregnant at 16 for which she was disowned by her family. In Kora, Tsundue shares a moving story of Tashi and an old man. The conversation reveals the scenario of that unfortunate era and their journey when Tibetans were exiled from their homeland Tibet. In his anecdote, My Mumbai Story, he shared about his life in Mumbai back in those days when he was jobless and had no place to stay. During those years, he worked very hard, and after his post-graduation from Bombay University, he published his poetry book in 2001. His essay, My Kind of Exile, won the first Outlook Picador Non-Fiction Award. However, I can resonate the Tenzing's writing's journey. He was an activist before he was a writer, and we usually see a writer turning into an activist. My journey of writing begins with my charity work. In my social activities, I come across so many issues that I feel needed to be addressed as soon as I can. The untold and unheard story, rights of LGBTQI+ community, advocating for autism and menstrual equity, and many more. I believe in love as our language, humanity in our hearts, and peace as the lasting legacy of the world. If I could describe the book Kora in one word, then that would be impactful. Reading the book, I could feel the language of love, the message of humanity, and longing for peace. The book imbibes courage in its readers to fight for freedom and justice. Kora